Hello, everyone. Hello, this is Dr. Robert Lyons from Budapest, Hungary. We are actually at the Budapest Kaqun Center right now. Everything cooled down now. It's a nice afternoon here. Some of you is night in Malaysia. Some of you are just in the morning in Las Vegas or Los Angeles. I, very much welcome everybody. I'm looking for Dr. Jared Roscoe to come on picture. And I see the microphone is turned off yet? No? Yes. Okay. He's coming. Oh, hello. How are you?
Dr. Lyons.
How are you, Dr. Roscoe? How are you doing?
I'm perfect. How are you, sir?
You look fantastic, healthy, good Floridan weather. Nice. Very good.
Thank you. It's all the Kaqun water I've been drinking.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. So, how do you like the so far what we had conversations through the last months? I know you're following us.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think my God, right now I think is the perfect time for Kaqun, given what we're up against with this pandemic, so to speak. With the coronavirus. If you look at a lot of the research. And I know you have, the virus likes to affect the red blood cell and, of course, interfere with the way the body uses oxygen. So what a perfect time for the world to learn about Kaqun.
It is, huh? Before we get into this wonderful conversation, can you tell us about yourself? Every guest making their own introduction. So please don't hesitate to start and tell everybody who you are and why we are good friends.
Of course. So I'm a doctor of chiropractic medicine. I practice in Clearwater, Florida. I have a holistic medical clinic. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, no, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm finishing my second doctorate currently in medicine. So very soon I'll be a medical doctor and chiropractor. And Dr. Lyons and I met, I don't know, 2 years ago, I think, whenever he invited me to Budapest in Hungary, where I was fortunate enough to actually study and train under him and just kind of see firsthand the miracles of his oxygen therapy, of Kaqun therapy.
And in your practice, do you have anything? I remember when you went home, you said, "Hi, I'm going to practice medicine now." After I know in Kaqun, it was so funny. So
yes.
What was that?
So, the funny thing is, I remember when we were in Budapest there, in Budapest rather, I said to you, all I want to do is Kaqun. That's all I want to do is oxygen therapy. And this is after, I think, a week or two of training with you. And you said, no, you do your stuff and you add in Kaqun therapy. And so it was kind of like a big aha moment for me, because I came back to the United States and nobody else is really doing it. I mean, of course, you've got Aniko in, your daughter in Las Vegas, and you've got, I believe, one spa in Los Angeles. But in terms of doctors that are practicing holistic medicine, natural medicine, there are not very many that are also using Kaqun. And so I had to kind of make my own protocols and just kind of start to integrate it into my practice. And this has been now, like I said, 18 months maybe. And it's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal. I have people from all over the country calling me for nutritional consults, cancer consults, diabetic consults. And it's because of this unique brand of oxygen therapy. It's because I'm using Kaqun in conjunction with natural medicine, and the results are stellar. They're fantastic. Did
it help you with something to, get more successful, just adding drinking of the water or using I know you're sending a lot of people to Las Vegas also.
Yes, very soon I hope to keep them in Florida. I want to have my own spa here as soon as I possibly can. But
yeah, we are working on it.
Las Vegas. But yeah, Las Vegas is a gorgeous facility, and I send as many people as I can there. I'll tell you quite honestly, there's many cases that I wouldn't be able to solve, that I wouldn't be able to help them if I didn't have these tools at my disposal. And of course, I'm talking about the drinking water, but of course the baths. I mean, the baths are a very powerful tool. This is what I talked about at the Royal Society of Medicine in London. I've had diabetic patients that do 2 weeks of the baths, and on blood tests, they're no longer a diabetic. Now that's unheard of. It doesn't matter if you're using pharmaceutical drugs or natural herbs or dietary changes. Nothing's going to change their metabolism within 2 weeks, except the oxygen baths. That's the only thing that I've seen do that is the Kaqun baths. So it's totally changed the way I practice. It's changed, you know, it's really changed the way that I look at the body is really the truth.
This is amazing. You know, I've been following you and you following me. I did not know about this patient. I know it was reducing insulin, but I did not know he was totally cured. This is really special, you know, because it's very few.
Very few. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, you know, in the United States, I don't know about, you know, in different parts of Europe, but in the United States, I think the numbers are about 1 in 4, 1 out of every 5, something like that. United States citizen is going to become diabetic or pre-diabetic. Cancer is even worse, just to be honest. Cancer is 1 in 2. Can you believe that number? At some point in their lifetime, 1 out of 2 US citizens are going to receive a cancer diagnosis. I mean, this defies belief, right?
That is very sad.
It's very sad. But you know, I have to say something. This is really what I wanted to say today. The light bulb, you know, went on above my head. The aha moment for me was when I went to Budapest, because actually I went to Budapest with you. This is funny. I never told you this, Robert, but I went there because I wanted to disprove these baths were as good as you were saying. I thought there's no way. I've seen it all.
I did not know that either. That's funny.
I know, it's hilarious, but I thought I did 4 years of medical school. I did 4 or 5 years of chiropractic school. I've done every nutrition certification. And this guy's telling me that oxygen is better than everything else we're doing. I've got to see this firsthand because it's just not true. And obviously, I mean, you remember, I think when I was there, every day I was questioning, no, what about this? What about that? No, how could that be happening? And he just, you know, Dr. Lyons would just smile at me and he would, you know, just kind of like laugh a little bit to himself and think, okay, he's going to get it eventually. He's going to get it. and I did. The light bulb went on and I saw that the big picture, what's really going on with people today, it's got to be a common thread, right? Because 1 out of 2 US citizens, 1 out of 4 are going to have diabetes. 1 out of 2 are going to have cancer. What is the common thread? Because that's millions and millions of people. It's got to be a link, you know, between, it can't just be random things happening. And what I saw in Hungary, you know, I saw the ultrasound reports myself. I saw the MRI reports myself. I looked into the patient's eyes. I shook their hands. These are people that were cured using oxygen therapy. And I had to see it for myself to really understand there's many, many, many secondary causes for disease. But my gosh, the primary cause for diabetes, for Alzheimer's, for many skin conditions, for, of course, you know, cancer, to be very frank with you, it's low oxygen inside the cell. It's tissue hypoxia. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow. But since I learned it, it's changed everything for me. And it's changed everything for my patients. You know, just, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with these numbers, but I think they're a little different in Europe. But I had a patient that their A1C, which is it's a blood test that looks at like their average blood sugar over 120 days. It was 12. Now, you know, normal is about 5.5 or 5.0, and they were 12. So, I mean, that's dangerous. I mean, that's life-threatening. We did 2 weeks of baths. They came back to where they were from. They did a bottle a day of Kaqun water, and in about 6 to 8 weeks, we did another blood test. We cut their blood sugar in half. Their A1C was 6, down from 12. We made them a non-diabetic using Kaqun therapy. So, I mean, that's how powerful this stuff is. I mean, that's the lesson I learned, is that what's going on inside these patients, they don't have enough oxygen inside their cells.
So what do you think if we would have chance to put more people close to this very non-invasive therapy, we could see much more people getting better and faster and recovering much faster, is it?
You know, I'm going to tell you what I see every day in my practice. And when I hear, you know, people talk about their loved ones and they say he died of cancer, or we see a celebrity on the news, you know, passed away of breast cancer or something, I'm sad for them, but I'm angry more than anything, because I think, you know, why why is this not at Johns Hopkins, right? Why is this not at Harvard? Why do we not have the best and brightest oncologists, right? The doctors shouting from the rooftops that we now have a therapy, which, ozone therapy is great, hyperbaric therapy is great, Kaqun therapy, in my, what I've seen with my two eyes, my own 2 eyes and hands here, nothing touches it. And in terms of cancer, I mean, let alone diabetes and chronic fatigue and Lyme disease, but you start to give cancer patients oxygen, and it's like, it's a very big statement to make, but it's almost like it's a choice nowadays to die of cancer, because the therapies we now have and what we now know, just last year for the Nobel Prize for Medicine, it was awarded to 3 physicians for discovering the role of oxygen in cancer. And so I think the world's starting to wake up, but absolutely, to answer your question, we should be saving lives. Cancer should be this thing that happens from time to time and that we now have the tools to fix. It should be that it's not a death sentence. It shouldn't be seen as a death sentence. And while drugs and surgery may be needed in some cases, no, this should be the front line. This should be at Harvard Medical. While you're waiting for your blood results to come back, or you're waiting for your chemotherapy, you should be in a cocoon bath in the next room in the hospital. That's so it makes me frustrated because we don't have this technology and we should.
Let's get into a little bit, because I see everybody here listening to you. You have a lot of knowledge about this. Not because I taught you. Beside that, you have a lot of knowledge about that. But is important is, can you tell us in your words, what's starting this whole thing? What do you think? What is starting, not specifically diseases, but you mentioned cancer, diabetes, inflammatory diseases, chronic diseases, inflammations. What do you think? Where this begins? What the medicine, as you are a doctor, what you would suggest to other doctors to learn this?
Sure.
What would you recommend?
What a great question. Because it's interesting. This is not taught in United States medical schools. This is not taught in naturopathic schools or chiropractic schools. This isn't taught in functional medicine classes. And the funny thing is, it's the big picture. What I think you've come across here, Dr. Lyons, is it's the why. It's what's actually happening inside the cell. Now, as I mentioned before, and this is also going back to Otto Warburg a little bit, who's a German physician back in the 30s, who did a lot of research. I mean, this is 100 years ago, where he uncovered how cancer has many, many, many secondary causes, but only one primary cause. Okay, the same is true for many, many disease processes. Okay, what happens in the body? How could this be so widespread that 1 out of 2 Americans are getting cancer, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 are getting diabetes? What happens? There's many secondary causes that all promote inflammation. Poor diet, poor gut health, viruses, Lyme disease, parasites, chemicals, mercury, poor oral health. I see lots of root canals gone bad. They all fall into the same group of secondary causes because they're going to promote inflammation. Once inflammation sets in the body, the mitochondria inside the cell don't function properly. And that's critical because the mitochondria produce energy for the cell. So you get this whole picture of many different things causing inflammation. That shuts down the mitochondria. And then the cell is really in trouble because without mitochondrial function, the cell loses its ability to take in oxygen. You can look this up. It's actually called the Bohr Effect, B-O-H-R, the Bohr Effect. And it talks about how oxygen gets inside the human cell. Excuse me. So the point being, what's happening to people, in this new world we live in, right, with chemicals and metals and GMO foods, people are becoming chronically inflamed. That inflammation is shutting down their mitochondria, and the cell loses its ability then to take in oxygen. At that point, you name it, where it's off to the races, as we say, the old expression, because many things go wrong. The cell can no longer take in glucose because the mitochondria aren't working. You get diabetes, Type 3 diabetes basically is Alzheimer's. We call Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes. So there's Alzheimer's disease, there's diabetes. And then you let this happen long enough and the cell loses its ability to maintain the current along the outside of the cell. It should be about negative 70 millivolts. The cell has to work to keep that current. Once it becomes inflamed, once the mitochondria stops working, once the cell can no longer take in oxygen, you get a hypoxic cell, you get all these disease processes, you get inflammation, you get cell death, and perhaps worst of all, the cell loses its ability to regulate and it starts dividing uncontrollably, of course, which we call cancer. That's the big picture. The primary cause of these things, hypoxia, low oxygen inside the cell. The secondary causes of hypoxia, many things. Inflammation caused by just about anything under the sun, right? You know, what we said, bad food, metals, chemicals, these kinds of things. Sorry.
Is that could be replaced if you have, let's say, go outside and breathe, you know, strong, heavy Qigong breathings or Japanese, or can you bring in more oxygen to your cells?
You cannot. That whole mechanism goes wrong. And see, this is interesting because I try to, that's the first question people ask me because I talk to them about Kaqun therapy. And I say, look, I think you need this new form of oxygen therapy. And they say, oh, no, I breathe very deeply. I meditate. I do these breathing exercises. They mentioned Tony Robbins, who's what is he, like a public speaker type thing. He does some special form of breathing, or they'll mention a special form of exercise therapy where they wear an oxygen mask while they exercise. And they say, you know, look, I get my oxygen, I get my red blood cells 100% saturated. And so I say to them, well, that's very good. You should do that. However,
that's very good, but however, yes.
However, I don't care if you're more than 100% saturated, if there is such a thing. The system is hijacked. It's not working because your cells can't take that oxygen off of the red blood cell. That's the whole problem, is that the system gets hijacked, the mitochondria become defective, the cell loses its ability to suck that oxygen off of the red blood cell. So I don't care what your, you know, O2 oximetry is, you know, your blood saturation. I don't care if you have a mask and you're breathing in oxygen. If you're chronically inflamed, which almost all of us are these days, if your mitochondria are defective, which almost everybody's are these days, you're not effectively taking oxygen off the red blood cell. And so it's a waste of your time almost to try to saturate your red blood cells. We need to bypass that. And that's what Kaqun does. It bypasses that defective mechanism and it puts the oxygen directly in the cell, independent of the red blood cell.
Okay, so you're not recommending somebody to go outside to breathe. You need a little bit more on that, is it? You need to do more things.
Of course, you can breathe all you want. You can do oxygen with a mask all you want. That it's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's the beauty of Kaqun. You need to get in these baths. You need to drink this product to put the oxygen back in your cells. It's like jump starting the system. Then the body can start to heal itself. But yeah, very unfortunately, once that mechanism kicks in and the body can't take up oxygen anymore, that's where Kaqun saves the day.
You mentioned hyperbaric chamber. What is the hyperbaric chamber? What do you think about why is hyperbaric chamber is good? Why?
Well, I do think it's good.
We have some water running now, some Kaqun water. Sorry, you could not be in it. I just want everybody to know. Some French people arrived from the city, so we're gonna have a little bit the sound, but otherwise you can hear me well, is it?
I can.
Okay, so where was I? I was in that question.
Hyperbaric chamber.
Yes, the hyperbaric chamber. So what do you think? Could help hyperbaric chamber elevate this oxygen saturation or all this, you know, what we're measuring or not? What do you think?
Well, again, I think there's a lot of literature on that, and it does. Hyperbaric does work. Another therapy people talk about is ozone. They'll do an ozone sauna, which ozone is O3. And so ozone will get inside the cells. It helps. Hyperbaric therapy helps. I have patients that, as we say, they're on the spectrum, which means autism spectrum. You know, they're ASD patients, or basically they're autistic children. And, they do hyperbaric therapy. Hyper means above or high, and baric means pressure. So what you're really saying is high pressure. And that's what it is you get in a little tube and they fill it with very high pressure of pure oxygen or close to pure oxygen. And it forces itself into your skin, into your tissues. And it's good. It changes things and it helps. But it's fleeting. What that word means is it only raises the amount of oxygen in your tissue 5 minutes after you get out. So in other words, as soon as you get out of the chamber, your oxygen levels drop again. So it's only good for about an hour's worth of therapy, where it's a little different if you drink Kaqun water, that helps it. But if you get in a Kaqun bath and submerge your body in the Kaqun liquid, once you get out, I believe it's 6 to 8 hours, your body has those super elevated levels of oxygen, tissue oxygenation. So I tell people it's good. If you have one, use it. If you're going to use it, drink Kaqun water as soon as you get out of the, I tell them do about 4 to 6 ounces before and 4 to 6 ounces after the hyperbaric chamber. It helps the body hold on to the oxygen. But yeah, if I have to choose between an oxygen bath or a hyperbaric chamber, I'm telling you that the Kaqun bath is a far, far more effective tool.
It's because the Kaqun water elevates the oxygen pulse pressure of the tissue generally, not that high, but it's capable to elevate it, is it? And runs with it, let's say 2 hours, which is I think it's pretty good for 2 hour highly oxygenated environment, not that high like the hyperbaric chamber, but again, you drink again, and then you go for 2 hours again, you drink again, go for, so that's what you mean 8-10 hours you are capable of holding. So you think you would prefer the 10-hour lower oxygen pulse or pressure elevation instead of the high jump of the oxygen pulse or pressure, is it?
Oh, it's not comparable. Yeah, the Kaqun therapy is far more effective from what I've seen, because I have diabetic patients that have done hyperbaric chambers. I have autism kids that have done hyperbaric chambers, and guess what? They're not cured. Where you introduce them to Kaqun, and absolutely, it's far more effective from a doctor's point of view. Just looking at it.
Very interesting, because FDA approves hyperbaric chamber on 12 or 13 different diseases like ulcuses and all kinds of inflammations from diabetic patients on the wounds in the leg, and they say all kinds of burning cuts, wound healing. US FDA approving as a very effective method beside medication.
Right.
And so don't you think we have something familiar between hyperbaric chamber and, let's say, Kaqun baths? Because you are under pressure under the water. Anybody goes under the water, you are in pressure. So don't you think it's something similar in there?
I think it's very similar. And I don't want to. Well, the FDA has its own reasons for doing what the FDA does. So, but in my opinion, absolutely, if you're going to say that hyperbaric chamber is approved, I don't see why they couldn't approve Kaqun therapy as well. And I personally think they should. It's an incredibly safe therapy, more effective therapy. And it's a very similar mechanism, as you said, with where it increases the partial pressure of tissue oxygen. So, the FDA, I don't, this is my personal opinion, but I think the FDA is a big fan of drugs and surgery, and they're not that big on holistic methods. So that's just my opinion on it.
Okay, so let me get this together for you. So make sure everybody understands this. This is water. Simple water. When I made the first human trial study in Hungary, we had to get an ethical medical license for making a human trial study because we had to draw blood. And that was an invasive therapy. As you know, by law, if you have an invasive therapy, you have to get some kind of approval from the ethical medical license board. And when I went in there first time, in 2009, they asked me, first thing they asked me, not my name, not my title, they asked me if I want to make maybe a drug out of this water. And I said, no, I don't want to make drugs because I don't want to specify what is it, because I don't put no vitamin even in the water. But I told them, I have a special way to put oxygen inside the water and stay stable for 2-3 days. And, you know, it took them 1.5 years to give me the license to do this study. 1.5 years long. I had to wait in a non-invasive, non-toxic. You can buy the water in the store, in the pharmacy, just to find out if it has any immunology effect on the human people, in the human race. So what I did, I had selected 60 patients, 30 women, 30 men, and I wanted to have a study by the Chemical Safety and Environment Laboratories. This is a governmental laboratory in Hungary where the very nice doctors working and scientists working, and they come to my place, took the blood, take it from the people, and then they make 4 blood tests, 0 day, 7 day, 14 day, and 21 days. Once we have that, the results came back after 6 months, and they said everybody who's taking baths in this water 1, 2, or 3 times, drinking half a liter, liter, or 1.5 liter, they have all of them, no matter how old they were, no matter what male or female, they all had something common. The natural killer cells numbers were growing.
Right.
The B cells and the T cells was growing. So we see a real CD25 cells antigen flare up. We saw that we are capable to boost the cellular immune system. And that started everything with Kaqun water. And we knew 2 things must be happening with these patients. Hypoxia must be chronic hypoxia set in the cells, in the tissue. Also, we know there's an immunology effect. And the reason I'm telling you this, because since that 10 years, we do lots of studies, lot of human trial studies, a lot of animal trial. We end up at the National Institute of Oncology Hospital in Budapest with melanoma, malignant stage 4 cancer patients to see how they can live longer or just better quality of life. Some of them survived for 2 years. A stage 4 cancer patient who had 5 months to live, 2 years with quality of life.
Right.
And there is a group of 10 people who had 5 months and no more to live. 2 of them survived. Has no melanoma anymore. So nobody asked me how we did it, why we did it. Nobody. They just said Kaqun water could be a adjuvant therapy for patients going under chemo and radiation, actually for oncology therapy. So I hope one day all this Nobel Prize winning, all the presentation that we do, somebody somehow will come to the senses and try to react on it officially. The last 6 months, we've been studying, I'm keeping you posted with all kinds of strange pictures and ideas and things like that. I'm bombarding you because I want you to see where we're standing. And the last 6 months, we've been really going ahead. We see things that we never see before. But when you were here 2 years ago, I could not present it to you. Even if you skin me, even if you skin me. Now I have all kinds of ways to see and study the other side. Now we know what's happening inside the blood. Now we know the immunology effect. We know the antioxidants capacity. We know all the good things now, what human can accept when they're consuming the water, drinking and taking the baths. But you and me, we never talked about before, what's happening before. And now there is a way, is a special way now to see how the oxygen travels through the cell membranes from the beginning of the formation of the clusters, entering the skin and show up in the blood. That is a complete cycle, actually, for this. So the next time we meet is gonna be a really amazing, I'm gonna really get your scientific mind on a track to see this, what we're doing.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. You just say when. I'll get on a plane.
I know. Oh no, we cannot go. Second wave is coming, you know.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So when all this gone, we're gonna able to see each other again more often. I hope we do, because
Me too.
because a lot of good things happening at once, and actually getting into more of this testing and investigating in the structure of the oxygen, I'm starting to understand much better, because something happening in the membrane when it goes through, but the pictures became the same when it's beginning and when it's end.
Mm-hmm.
That is the
Right.
same. So there is a cycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you understand me, Dr. Roscoe?
I do understand.
The beginning, we never see the beginning. You never saw, I never saw until 2 weeks ago, I never saw the beginning of the whole thing. Where is beginning? You sit in a clear water and all of a sudden something happens to that water where everything changes and covers up your tissues by billions of oxygen, billions, stick to your body, and just, you can see them line up like spikes, and they want to get into the cells. They want to get into the tissue. Something draws them in. That's the partial pressure difference between the water and the human tissue. The higher pressure wants to give out to the lower one.
It diffuses across the semi-permeable membrane of the human cell.
But you never see such a thing like that.
Right.
Now you
that's amazing.
It's amazing. Right. And now once it's in, so now much easier for me to explain to somebody why the leg heals up. Let's say a diabetic ulcer, why it heals up in front of your eyes so fast. The diabetes is still there, but somehow the ulcus is gone, but was there for years.
Right.
Incredible condition, incredible living condition, smell bad, pain, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's gone. What's happening? Now we are able to see it. So as soon as I'm finished here, I'm going to send you a 2 minutes video. I want you to look at it.
Of course I will. Of course I will. This is the type of stuff that we need, I think, to make this more mainstream, not just in the United States, but everywhere in the world. I mean, you're doing the research that you're proving this. You're scientifically proving how this technology works and what it actually does, on a cellular level to the human body. And that's exactly what you need, because once you get enough of this evidence, it's going to be irrefutable. And when you do go to the FDA, when you do go for wide stream recognition, they're not going to be able to say no. So it's very exciting to me that you're doing this research and that you're proving.
But this is still water.
Right.
There's no chemical in it.
I know. That's what's so amazing.
So I have to write on the water, purified water, because it's clear.
Right.
Actually, if I put vitamin C in it, maybe I could say vitamin C immune booster. I could say that because of the vitamin C is in it.
Right.
But the vitamin C has nothing to do with it.
I know. As you told us, the body makes its own vitamin C.
Oh, don't get into this one.
That's a whole different one, I know.
Don't get into this one. We are next year. We talk about that one.
Right,
so,
right.
So tell me about, sorry I turned this way, but I want you to know how far we are heading now. We have the beginning, the birth. You know that picture from Michelangelo when God gives the power to man?
The Sistine Chapel, yes.
I have that. Now we see the power of going through. I touch one finger to another, and all of a sudden, the whole hand became oxygenated, and one push the oxygen to the other. When you put it together, especially lighted, you can see the oxygen standing there, waiting to go in. So that is creation. Oh, I have a goosebumps on me. I have a goosebumps on me. It gives you power, you know?
It does. Absolutely.
So when you were in Las Vegas, I know you are a good doctor. You bring your kids, you bring your wife, your mother, patients with you, and you know, and you, of course, you always went into the water. I remember in Hungary too.
Oh, sure.
You wanted to be in the water.
Oh my God. Of course I did. Yes. Again, I'm not a skeptic, but I was hearing great reports from patients and I said, no, because again, nutrition therapy, you know, mitochondrial supplements, right? CoQ10, carnitine, these things, that's how you feel good. And, you know, these are the things that are going to make you feel great. That's what I thought. And I was taking that stuff and I felt okay, but I got in the baths myself and I mean, I was floored. I didn't know how bad I felt until I started feeling good again.
Oh, you were tired first? You were tired first?
Well, I didn't think so. I mean, but I felt okay, but I was taking a lot of turmeric, a lot of fish oil. I had to take supplements to feel better, you know, to feel as good as I wanted to feel. But once I got in the cocoon baths, my mental clarity, I felt like I was a kid again. I don't know how else to say it. I just felt like I was, you know, instantly I could recall things. I could think clearer. I started sleeping 5-6 hours a night, but waking up with plenty of energy. There were times where I felt literally like I could jump over a building. I had so much energy. And, you know, I just learned firsthand, wait a minute, there's something I don't know here. I have to learn what this guy's doing because this is incredible. And my God, I've been back many, many times. I've done hundreds of baths at this point, about 250 baths I think I've done total between Budapest, Vegas, and Los Angeles. And no, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like I send you my whole family, like you said, I send you every patient that I can get to go. I tell them you need to go. This is something you need to put your time and money into. And no, it's the #1 therapy I know of for the human body. That doesn't mean don't take supplements. That doesn't mean don't eat right. Of course, you need to do these things, but 1 for 1, it's not vitamin C. It's not glutathione. It's not ozone. It's not probiotics. It's oxygen, O2, oxygen. And it's not a hyperbaric chamber. I'm talking about Kaqun, okay? Drinking this product, soaking your body in this product. It's the #1 most powerful therapy I know of for the human body. And as I said at the beginning here, I'm trying very hard to bring this to Florida. So I very, very much want to start to put these, you know, in my home state here in Florida and start to branch out, because I think with the research you're doing, and if we get more and more practitioners on board, opening their own spas, it's going to naturally grow. And then with the proof you have, we're going to take this, you know, with a team of doctors to the FDA, and how are they going to say no at that point? So I think the future is very bright, and I'm super thrilled to be a part of it.
Okay, fantastic. Something got to my mind. If somebody taking medication, let's say, do you still recommend them to take the medication with the water, or you tell them, no, just do the water is enough, or what is your recommendation?
Well, you know, I deal more in holistic, you know, natural medicine. So I don't get too much into pharmaceutical drugs with the patient, but it depends on what they're taking, you know. You can take it, certainly. You know, I don't say stop your medication right away and just get in the bath. I tell them if you're taking drugs, okay, you know, that's between you and the doctor that prescribed those drugs for you. But you can still, the baths are safe. It's not going to hurt the drug or something like that. You can still get in the oxygen bath and start to put oxygen inside your tissues, improve your natural killer immune cell function. So I don't tell them they have to stop their pharmaceutical drugs. But the truth is, if they do enough cocoon therapy and they start to eat a little better and take the right, you know, nutritional products, very few of those patients are going to need the drugs. That's the interesting part to me, is, you know, you can get the body well without drugs. And that's a strange concept in the United States. You know,
yes, it is very strange. I think that's a very good idea. I used to tell people, just take your medication with the water. It's going to be better effect and much better. Your cells will understand much better what you try to do. Because don't forget it, the oxygen once enter into the cells has another function also. Actually, the first function is detoxificate the cells. So whatever gets in there, we know that oxygen is toxic also. Did you ever get anybody tell you too much oxygen makes you older and is not good for you? Did they tell you?
I've heard these things, yeah.
Okay, and what is your answer on that?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, you know, again, the form of oxygen therapy that I recommend is Kaqun. And so, you know, I don't think there's a lot of truth in that, because I see, number one, nothing heals the mitochondria. Like, you know, you look at the most recent research on aging, and a lot of times, what do they talk about? They talk about the length of the telomeres, which is part of the DNA, and they talk about the integrity of the DNA, and they talk about mitochondrial health. And Kaqun therapy, oxygen therapy, really enhances all three of those. You know, it has a protective effect on DNA. You know, we know this because how many genetic diseases respond very favorably once you put them in the bath? I just had a patient with adult polycystic kidney disease, which is a genetic disorder. And we've just started the Kaqun therapy, but she called me and she said, I just saw some research that the keto diet puts polycystic kidney disease in full remission. Can you help me with this? And I said, sure. And I made a program for her. But I said, look, the reason that works is because the keto diet is going to repair your mitochondria. More effective, or maybe in conjunction with that, something you should be doing is absolutely putting oxygen inside your cells. It helps to repair mitochondria. It helps to repair and almost activate, we could say, or silence bad genes and activate good genes in the DNA, which I think we just had your own literature came out with that last year, didn't it? In December, I think, of 2019.
Yes.
Your study on DNA actually came out. So, you know, the idea that oxygen is going to make you, I mean, I think if you're using ozone, perhaps, because ozone, which is O3, not O2, that can oxidize tissue in a negative way. You know, that can damage the cell membrane, that can damage the DNA. O2, however, Kaqun water, I don't know. You know, from what I understand, it makes you age in reverse. It actually causes the DNA to appear more youthful and the telomeres to lengthen. So I've heard people say that whole thing about oxygen. I don't think there's truth in it, though. I mean,
okay, so let me put how right you are. You might remember I showed you a baby one time, but the oxygen partial pressure in the baby tissue is 97 mercury millimeter high. That's the top. When you look at a 80 years old person, it's only 60 mercury millimeter. No matter what that, how good the person lives, what it does, between a 2 weeks old baby and the 80 years old, there is 80 years different. The problem here, they have 37 mercury millimeter lower oxygen inside, in their cell. So what if I tell you, if I start to make that 86 years old drinking water, and I start to reverse that to, let's say, instead of 65 mercury millimeter, maybe 77 mercury millimeter. What do you think about that? Regularly.
Sure. I think what we just said, I think you're actually, as funny as it sounds, I think you're going to start to make that cell age in reverse. You're going to make the cell younger, in other words.
Okay, so what we did, I went down to Las Vegas last year until we could travel, and I went down to the anti-aging conference, and I heard great things about that. It was really amazing. There was at least, I don't know, 20,000 people in the 3 days we were on into. I see all kinds of anti-aging techniques. The most wild one to credible one, okay? All kinds of it. But I did not find one what was talking about the tissue oxygenation. And after the studies I made, I had to come to the conclusion the real anti-aging product is nothing else but Kaqun water. Because that's why the healing is happening, You know how you heal your people, your patients? You make them younger. That's always happens. I make the tissue oxygenation higher. We have a lot of good questions coming up. People asking questions, and you know, it is Michael Lingard is always very good and very smart question he has. He's asking me. Let me ask you. Maybe you can answer this. Are we all born with the ability to absorb oxygen through the skin? Is it? The Indian people know that, no?
I think yes, right? I think that's a natural ability of the body, because you put someone in a cocoon bath, and it's not like it only works on some people. The idea is, Dr. Lyons was just saying, is you put the body submerged in the oxygen water, and he was just talking about the science where it passively goes across the membrane of the cell. So I think, you know, really what you're asking is, you know, can the human cell absorb oxygen outside of a red blood cell? And absolutely, I think cocoon proves.
He thinks, again, is a question mark in the same phrases. He thinks that we lose as we age. So the ability to get oxygen in, we lose the way we age. That's what, this is a very good view, actually.
Sure. I mean, I think, you know, you can of course answer as well, Dr. Lyons, but I mean, yes, I would say, you know, Dr. Lyons just mentioned that. I mean, if you take the partial pressure, you know, the tissue oxygenation level of a patient that's 85 years old versus one that's 5 years old, the 5-year-old is going to have much higher partial pressure of oxygen inside their body. So I think absolutely yes, the older a body gets, it does lose that ability to suck the oxygen in and keep it in the intracellular space. So I think ultimately the answer is yes. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Lyons?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So Michael see it right. The reason, if let's say put it this way, if somebody would drink 3 liters of liquid, clean water, 1.5 liters is Kaqun water, 5 times a day, 3 deciliter, you bring in oxygen to your cells. Sure. You're going to start to nourishing your cells. You're going to start to detoxificate your cells. You're going to start to controlling your body temperature all the time. And you're not going to be dehydrated. That's most of the people problem. They get dehydrated.
Sure.
If you don't have the, let's say, used to, you know, let's say Fiji water, or they don't have the water what they used to drink, they don't drink. They say, no, I don't want to drink other water.
Right.
Only if they're very thirsty, but that's too late. You're already hypoxic. You already dehydrated. And because of that, your skin starts to get wrinkled, much more sensitive on sunlight coming in. Then you have to put on some cream. Now you mess up everything because all your skin breathing is over. You have no more oxygen changing through the skin. So pretty soon you put yourself in a hypoxic stage, very much. And that's what Michael say is we have ability, but when we get older, this ability we lose. But no, I can prove it to you. The old skin can go back to young skin very fast.
Sure.
By nourishing the cells with water, put them into Kaqun water, make them drink the water, and in 2 weeks, magic happens. That's it. Of course. Do we have to maintain that? Of course. This is not a drug or a herb or pills or vitamin you take and then after you decided not to take it because I'm good enough. No. The cells knows this. How much oxygen they use, what you need to restart the mitochondria, all this coming, all has to be always followed up. Then you can live a healthy, happy life. You can protect yourself. How many patients I show you with viral infections?
No. Yeah.
Many, huh?
Right.
Oh.
Right. And then the cocoon, that's what I've noticed too, is cocoon is phenomenal for viral infections. By stimulating the natural killer cell production, the body cleans up those viruses very quickly.
The beautiful thing about this water, don't speak the technicus terminus. So it will not know the name of the disease or the name of the the virus, but does one thing, elevates the natural killer cells and their functions.
Sure.
So they are capable to go. Do you know any drug but capable to do that?
No, and antiviral I mean, again, I didn't come here to talk about drugs all that much, but antiviral medications are usually quite toxic to the body, and usually the doctor won't even prescribe them because they're ineffective. So no, there's no comparison. So,
you know, my scientific study went into the natural killer cells and their functions. And I tell you, I tested many things, what they say, helping your immune system. And I tell you, I did not find barely what's capable to do it. I tell you one, I find it's an olive leaf extract that's capable to elevate your B cells and T cells.
Sure.
Your macrophages, it's capable to do it.
I use it, but honestly, Kaqun is more effective. I've used both clinically on patients, and olive leaf extract is great. Vitamin C is good, but no. I've seen people that are stuck with it. They've had some kind of viral infection for weeks at a time. You give them oxygen, and it changes it faster than anything else.
So the study I made, the conclusion was in the study, maybe you remember, maybe not, but I want to refer to everybody. After the study was done, they said 14 days of taking the baths and drinking the water, it elevates the natural killer cells by double or more.
Right.
On a healthy volunteer.
Yep.
Absolutely healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many of us hearing this today or hearing first time. This studies is available. I can send it in English. You can, ask for that. After that, we can send it out. You can look at it. We are really capable to elevate the natural killer cells. If we do that, the natural killer cells will do their job. If they have designed of killing virally infected cells and tumoral cells, why not unleash them?
Right.
How could you not have natural killer cells? It's bonding with you. It's born with you. Yeah, what you do with it, you suppress it down. You not eat right, not exercise, eating junks, alcohol, smoking, all those things, you suppressing it down. But soon as you start to live as a, let's say, health-wish person who wants to be healthy and eat right, a little exercise, a little movement, then your natural killer cells will follow, and they are capable to grow. If to give them the food to grow, they go. And once the hypoxic issue is solved, they all come up and they all look for problem, because problem is always there.
Well, of course. And the interesting thing about a natural killer cell is it doesn't just kill a virally infected cell. And this is, I think, one of the secrets of why Kaqun is so successful with cancer patients, is because natural killer cells also kill neoplastic cells, or is that a medical term for cancerous cells? Isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Absolutely right. Now we have Catherine has a question. What do you think about this? How long do I have to drink Kaqun water before noticing any improvement? What do you think we should advise her? How long she has to drink this before she feels good? How long it take you?
No, usually it's fast. Usually I tell patients, it can detoxify the patient. So I do say that you could detox on it a little bit, but usually the first time you drink it, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel different. Same thing with the baths. Usually you're going to notice a change right away. So it's not one of these things where you have to do it for several weeks and then it might kick in. That's not how it happens at all. So it can be a very fast process. Okay.
Now, same, Catherine asking, you give her some kind of the guidance of drinking of the water. So let me tell her, it depends on your condition. You have to drink 1.5 liters per day, 5 times separated by, let's say, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12, 2, 4, and last time you drink at 6 o'clock. After that, or between that, you can drink any other water. Actually, we recommend you to drink it because Kaqun water is very clean, very low minerals. So they are capable, if you just drink Kaqun, is not advisable. Drink other water too. but make sure you drink it for 2, 3 months, 4 months, and then you will have a fantastic reoxygenated cells. In about, I would say to you, maybe in about a month, we will come out with the first video what is explaining how the oxygen is. Now you're gonna see it live, what you drink. If I send you something like this, Dr. Roscoe, when you drink the water, remember what's happening inside of you. It's amazing, amazing what's happening.
Send it to me, please. I'll put it on a TV in my waiting room area, so my patients all see while they're waiting.
Okay, perfect. I send it to you. As soon as I have it, do it. You will love it. Okay. So what else we have? Do we have other questions? Do you see other questions? Yeah, it's many questions arrived. So please, Catherine, that's the way you have to drink it, and don't give up on it. Just do it. Okay. So what we have, Kaqun water is a serious drug. Again, they said Kaqun water is a serious threat to drug companies. I don't think so.
What?
They said the Kaqun water is a serious threat to drug companies. Maybe that is.
They're saying it's a trap. What's the word?
A treat to the drug companies.
Let me see if I can see this myself. Is this under Q&A?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, threat. Oh, it is. Well, okay. I see what they're saying. You incorporate threat training in.
Yeah, it's a threat. Not
threat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was right. So it's a threat to company. No, I don't think so. We have a lot of pharmaceutical companies using the water to sell it in their pharmacy. You know, beside we have in Hungary 2,500 pharmaceutical places who's used the Kaqun water for 10 years, you know?
Yeah, I think I see what the patients, the question was saying about, you know, the idea of being a threat because it'll put them out of business and this kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily think that's true, because how many patients do both? You know, they get a surgery, they take the chemotherapeutic agents, you know, the chemotherapy, and they come and they get in the baths. So I don't, you know, out of the 1 out of 2 Americans, right, that are going to get a cancer diagnosis, millions of them are still going to use cancer drugs. You know, I think the goal is to get them to do more, maybe I should say not less. You know, we should get them to do cocoon baths in addition to other therapies. So I don't necessarily think it has to be a threat to, you know, the big pharma and these kinds of things.
Yes. That's why we could get into the oncology hospital for 2.5 years, you know?
Right.
But actually Kaqun baths, drinking and bathing in the hospital setting. Did you ever heard of it in anywhere?
That's what I was saying earlier. I haven't heard of it, and that's why it bothers me. That you know, look, you're doing the right kind of work. I hope to play a little bit of a role here. Maybe, you know, start setting it up on the East Coast here in the United States, and we'll get a team of doctors that are doing this, and we'll get the research ready. And I'm optimistic. I think one day we're going to see that, where they do get worked up by an oncologist. They do get prescribed, you know, chemotherapeutic, you know, agents, maybe radiation therapy. But then after the radiation therapy, you know, I remember we had this case where they were very irritated from the radiation. You put them in the baths in the very next room in the hospital. Isn't that the ideal scenario?
That would be awesome. That would be awesome for the well-being of the patient. As a good news for you, you have a great idea. You are a young doctor. You have a good idea and you have an enthusiasm to go. But I must tell you, we have right now a lot of people I see from Malaysia, Dr. Saeed, Dr. Nazri, from Singapore, Dr. Choi, Dr. D, the people looking into, you know, all these possibilities, how to help others. In America now, a lot of people watching you and, you know, understanding where are you coming from. In Europe, from England, a lot of people watching this. Professor Sam Lingham, I see him he's watching it now. And people all over agreeing it. And I believe once we have the complete evidence put together, how the oxygen born in the water, how to traverse the oxygen, how to get through the membrane, how it shows up in the blood, how the hypoxia stop, and how the disease was pushed down, I think now we have a complete beginning to the end. And I believe once we take it to Florida, we don't care about other people, what they do, what they say. they're never gonna have the science behind it,
No.
what we have. Because I have 20 years put into this only on science, only. So France, Italy, Europe, Russia, everything is starting to gear up right now. We feel it. We feel it. People want to get into that more deeper and understanding it. All we need is more doctors. The courses are starting in September. We're going to start to bring people in here. If we cannot, because the second wave of COVID-19, if this one comes, we're going to be very scared and we're not going to go outside. But in the internet, we can in the internet teach all the doctors who want to learn.
Sure.
And we can teach them.
Absolutely.
I put together good doctors, and one day you're going to be, I hope, one of the teachers. You're going to be the professor.
I'd love to.
One day you're going to be the professor of this, and I hope you're going to be able to go out and teach. I would like to
University. I love it.
Yes, I would like to thank you to come in here with us. I would like to invite you back sometime once we have some new data, and maybe you want to share everybody with your Kaqun Center in Florida. You know, you want to show it to people in the world. We will support it for you. We will support it for you. And I promise I send you right now, as soon as I'm finished, I send you a 2.5 minutes video on the water. So you're going to be able to explain easier how the oxygen gets to the tissue.
Perfect. I can't wait.
Thank you so much, sharing all your thoughts. And I really want to get you back and more. Everybody say goodbye. And thank you, Dr. Roscoe. And enjoy life and be safe. And see you in Vegas or come to Budapest.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to see you again. I'd love to come on again too. We'll do it hopefully not too long from now.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.